Before there was gold, before there was glory, before the world ever whispered the name Solomon with awe, there was a question, a divine question, a sacred offer from God himself. Ask me for whatever you want, and I will give it to you. This moment didn't happen on a battlefield, or in a marketplace, or in a hall of kings. It happened in the quiet chambers of a man's heart. A young leader, newly crowned, burdened with destiny. And Solomon did not ask for riches. He did not ask for vengeance, fame, or long life. He asked for wisdom. That one decision, the choice to value understanding over outcome, unlocked everything else. God said, "Because you have asked for wisdom and not wealth, I will give you both." This is the eternal principle. Many ignore. When you chase wisdom, wealth follows. But when you chase wealth without wisdom, even what you gain will slip through your fingers. Hustle without understanding is vanity, but purpose guided by divine insight becomes legacy. The world teaches you to grind, to hustle, to burn out in pursuit of more. But Solomon teaches us to seek first the wisdom of God, to govern your inner world before you ever try to influence the outer. Because without mastery of thought, of speech, of soul, you are a king with no crown, a builder with no blueprint, a runner with no race. The man or woman who rules their inner life with discipline and wisdom will always outrun the one who simply works harder. This is not a call to laziness. This is a call to alignment. To seek wisdom is not to reject effort, but to give that effort direction. Solomon became the wealthiest king not because he pursued money, but because he asked to see clearly, to judge rightly, to understand deeply. He knew that vision without wisdom is blindness. Action without discernment is disaster. And wealth without purpose is a curse. So the first step on your journey is the same step Solomon took. Don't ask for more. Ask to understand more. Because if you gain wisdom, you gain everything. But if you gain the world and lack understanding, you've already lost. What most people call success is often nothing more than noise. Loud, quick, flashy outcomes without substance. But Solomon understood something deeper. Results are fruit, but wisdom is the root. He knew that if the root is wise, the fruit will come in due season. And if the root is weak, no matter how much you hustle, the tree will wither. That is why he didn't ask God for finished results. He asked for the seed that would produce them, wisdom. In today's culture, hustle is worshipped like a god. You're told to wake up earlier, sleep less, work more, push harder. But if you don't have wisdom, all that effort may lead you in the wrong direction. You may build something big, but hollow. You may climb high, but on a ladder leaning against the wrong wall. Solomon's life screams this truth. It is better to spend a year gaining wisdom than a decade chasing what wisdom could have brought you in days. Think of the people around you who burned out chasing status, who gained things but lost peace, who hustled for platforms but never built purpose. The world celebrates speed, but God rewards alignment. And wisdom is the compass that ensures your steps are ordered, not wasted. You see, hustle can make you rich, but wisdom makes you whole. Hustle might bring you a crowd, but wisdom brings you legacy. Hustle can fill your hands, but only wisdom can fill your soul. That's why Solomon could say, "Wisdom is more precious than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare with her." Because wisdom governs not just what you do, but why you do it. Not just how fast you move, but where you're going. Before you chase results, ask yourself, have I built the foundation? Have I trained my mind to think with clarity? Have I aligned my heart with heaven? Because if you ignore wisdom in the pursuit of wealth, you may gain what you wanted but lose who you are. But if you pursue wisdom, everything you need will follow you. Solomon didn't become powerful because he controlled armies. He became powerful because he first mastered himself. Before he ruled Israel, he ruled his emotions. Before he judged others, he judged his own motives. This is the law of divine leadership. If you can't govern your thoughts, you have no business trying to govern the world. True power doesn't start on the throne, it starts in the mind. Most people try to change their circumstances before they ever confront their character. But Solomon teaches us, what's outside of you is a reflection of what's within you. If your words are undisciplined, your life will be chaotic. If your mind is scattered, your direction will be unclear. If your heart is bitter, your path will be crooked. You cannot outrun your inner state. You can't build peace on a foundation of anxiety. You can't attract honor when you speak like a fool. You can't walk in blessing while thinking in brokenness. Solomon writes in Proverbs, Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. That's not poetry, that's law, spiritual law. Because your heart is the command center of your life. It determines how you see, what you attract, and how you respond. Govern your thoughts, and your speech will follow. Govern your speech, and your habits will align. Govern your habits, and your destiny becomes unshakable. The problem is, too many people want kingdom results without kingdom discipline. They want the fruit of a king with the habits of a fool. But you don't become powerful by chance. You become powerful by choice. And every day, your greatest battlefield isn't the world around you, it's your inner law. Who you are when no one's watching, what you say when no one's listening, what you think when no one corrects you. That is where power begins. So before you ask God for elevation, ask yourself, have I mastered my mouth? Have I disciplined my thoughts? Have I trained my heart to obey truth over impulse? Because when you rule your inner kingdom, no outer kingdom can shake you. Many today run after gold but have no idea why they want it. They say they want success, but success without purpose is just noise dressed as achievement. Solomon could have asked for gold, for power, for fame, but he knew that gold without wisdom corrupts. Power without direction becomes destruction. And riches without revelation are nothing more than distractions. That's why so many people achieve their dreams and still feel empty. Because you can't fill a spiritual void with physical things. The soul is not impressed by your income. It is nourished by your intention. Your bank account may grow, but your character may shrink. Your reach may expand, but your integrity may decay. Why? Because gold can buy the world, but it can't buy wisdom, peace, or purpose. Solomon teaches us a prophetic truth. When you chase purpose, gold will chase you. But when you chase gold, you may lose your soul in the process. Wisdom is better than jewels, he said. All the things you may desire are not to be compared with her. Because wisdom guides your ambition, purifies your motives, and protects your soul from becoming a slave to success. Hustle can fill your calendar, but only purpose can fill your heart. Hustle might get you applause, but only divine alignment will give you rest. And rest is not laziness, it is the reward of those who walk in truth. The truth that what you build must be grounded in why you build. Because when you rise without purpose, the fall is inevitable. So ask yourself today, not how much you want, but why you want it. If your goal isn't tied to God's will, it will become a burden instead of a blessing. Chase gold, and you may get rich. But chase wisdom, and you'll never be poor again. Solomon's greatness wasn't man-made. It was God-ordained. He didn't rise because of charm, or hustle, or connections. He rose because his heart was aligned with heaven. Before he ever sat on the throne, he knelt before God. And that posture, humility before heaven, is what unlocked divine favor. You see, men can give you applause, but only God can give you authority. And in today's world, too many seek the spotlight before seeking the Spirit. They want likes, but not legacy. Platforms, but not purity. They seek the approval of men while ignoring the direction of God. But Solomon shows us, divine alignment is the secret to supernatural success. The reason Solomon's reign was full of peace and prosperity was not because he was perfect, but because he prioritized presence over performance. He understood that if you get God first, everything else will follow. But if you put the world first, you'll always be striving and never satisfied. This is the wisdom of alignment. When your steps are ordered by the Lord, you walk into rooms you didn't qualify for. You receive blessings you didn't hustle for. You experience peace that doesn't make sense. Because when heaven backs you, no enemy can block you. No critic can cancel you. No failure can define you. So don't trade divine alignment for fast fame. Don't sell your soul for success. Let your private posture before God shape your public power before men. Because what you do in secret, your obedience, your integrity, your humility, will open doors that hustle never could. When God appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, "Ask what I shall give you," he wasn't just offering a gift, he was testing Solomon's heart. And Solomon passed the test with one request: give me wisdom. Not money, not military, not fame, but wisdom to lead, to discern, to govern rightly. And because he asked rightly, God gave him more than he asked for. Here lies a divine principle. God doesn't just bless your request, he blesses your motives. Solomon's heart wasn't consumed with personal gain. It was focused on purpose. He knew that a throne without wisdom would be a curse, that influence without discernment would destroy a nation. So he chose the one thing that governs everything else, wisdom. And God responded, "Because you have not asked for riches, nor long life, nor the life of your enemies, but understanding, I will give you both wisdom and wealth." In other words, when you seek the kingdom first, all these things will be added unto you. This is the principle of spiritual economy. What you prioritize determines what you receive. Ask yourself today, what am I asking for? Are you asking for wealth without the wisdom to manage it? For platforms without the integrity to sustain it? For success without the strength to carry the weight? Because if your request is rooted in ego, God in His mercy may not answer it. But if your desire is rooted in purpose, He will exceed your expectations. What you ask reveals what you value, and what you value shapes who you become. So shift your prayers, align your motives, and watch how heaven responds, not just with what you ask for, but with overflow beyond imagination. Before Solomon ruled a nation, he ruled his thoughts. And that is the true test of leadership. Not how many follow you, but how well you govern yourself. Many desire thrones, but their minds are in chaos. They seek to influence others, yet are slaves to their emotions. But hear this truth: if you cannot rule your mind, you will never rule your destiny. Solomon teaches that governance begins within. The true kingdom is not external, it is internal. Your thoughts are your citizens, your words are your decrees, your habits are your laws. And if your inner kingdom is divided, your outer world will reflect it. Peace on the outside starts with order on the inside. Too often, we chase influence while ignoring our inner disorder. We want power, but we haven't conquered pride. We want success, but haven't silenced insecurity. We want wealth, but spend without wisdom. Solomon shows us that the real battleground is not in the economy or the marketplace or the throne room, it's in your mind. Solomon writes, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." That's not poetry, it's prophecy. Your life will never rise above your thought life. If your thoughts are undisciplined, your results will be unstable. If your speech is reckless, your influence will crumble. This is why inner governance is not optional, it is essential. You must guard your thoughts like a king guards his treasure. You must speak words that build, not break. You must train your emotions like soldiers under command. Because when you rule yourself, the world will take notice, and heaven will trust you with more. For only those who master the inner kingdom can be entrusted with the outer one. Solomon understood the creative power of words. Life and death, he said, are in the power of the tongue. In other words, you are either speaking your future into existence or canceling it with your complaints. A king does not speak carelessly. A ruler does not use words to vent frustration. They use them to establish order. So many today are sabotaging their future by speaking like victims. I'll never make it. Nothing works for me. It's too hard. These are not words of wisdom. They are chains that bind your destiny. Solomon didn't beg, he declared. He didn't complain, he decreed. And that is your calling too. You are not just a person, you are a voice. And your voice sets the course of your life. What are you building with your words? Are you building a palace or digging a pit? The enemy doesn't need to destroy your dreams if he can deceive you into cursing them with your own mouth. He doesn't need to stop your future if he can get you to speak against it. But you are not powerless. You are a co-creator with God. And when you align your speech with His will, your words become weapons of creation, not destruction. So discipline your tongue. Speak life, not lack. Speak vision, not victimhood. Speak wisdom, not whining. Declare what God has promised, not what fear has predicted. Because when your words come into agreement with your purpose, all of heaven moves to fulfill it. The world glorifies the hustle. Grind every day, they say. Work while they sleep. But Solomon had a different revelation. He said, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." In other words, hustle without vision is just noise. Motion without meaning leads to burnout. Hustling isn't wrong, but it must be guided by revelation. Working hard for a goal that isn't rooted in purpose will wear down your soul. Chasing results without clarity will make you productive, but not effective. Busy, but not fulfilled. And that is the great trap of this age. We're doing more, but becoming less. Solomon didn't build blindly. He built with blueprints from heaven. The temple wasn't a result of ambition, it was a manifestation of divine vision. And this is your calling too, not just to hustle, but to build with heavenly precision. To stop asking, what can I do? And start asking, what am I called to do? Some people are tired not because they're lazy, but because they're building the wrong thing. They're grinding for goals that God never gave them. They're pursuing timelines that Instagram set, not heaven. But you were not born to chase trends. You were born to fulfill prophecy. You are not here to impress people. You are here to complete your divine assignment. So pause, reflect, ask the hard question. Is what I'm hustling for aligned with what I'm here to do? Because the cost of hustle without vision isn't just exhaustion, it's emptiness. But when your hustle is anchored in purpose, every step becomes sacred. Every effort becomes eternal. And you begin to move not just with speed, but with significance. Solomon was the wisest man to ever live, not because he chased accomplishments, but because he chose alignment with God's will. When the Lord asked what he desired, Solomon didn't request riches or fame, he asked for wisdom. And that single choice changed everything. Because when you're aligned with heaven, blessings follow you. You don't have to chase them, they chase you. Many today are exhausting themselves trying to achieve what can only be received. They work tirelessly to climb ladders that lead nowhere, accumulating wealth but losing peace, gaining followers but losing purpose. But Solomon teaches that divine alignment is the only path to sustainable success. It's not about how high you rise, it's about how deeply you are rooted in truth. When you align with God's wisdom, your timing becomes divine, your steps become ordered. Doors open not because you kicked them down, but because heaven appointed your arrival. That's why the world cannot understand the peace of the aligned, because it is not earned, it is given. So stop asking, how can I get more? And start asking, am I walking in what God has already given? It's not about accumulation, it's about assignment. When your heart aligns with your purpose, you will discover that what others labor for, you attract with grace. Solomon didn't strive, he stewarded, he didn't hustle, he aligned. And in that posture of surrender, he unlocked the favor that built a kingdom without breaking himself. Wealth by itself is not evil, but wealth without wisdom is dangerous. Solomon understood that gold in the hands of a fool becomes a weapon. Riches without restraint become ruin. Many are praying for abundance, but lack the inner infrastructure to handle it. And so God, in his mercy, delays what you're not yet disciplined to carry. Imagine giving a sword to a child. It becomes a threat, not a tool. In the same way, many want financial breakthrough, but haven't broken free from emotional immaturity, pride, or poor stewardship. Solomon teaches that wisdom must precede wealth. Why? Because wisdom tells you how to build, how to manage, how to bless others, not just impress them. Without wisdom, money amplifies your flaws. It magnifies your insecurity. It increases your recklessness. But when you walk in wisdom, wealth becomes a weapon for good. You bless your family, uplift your community, invest in eternity. Solomon had everything, yet he knew that without the fear of the Lord, it would all crumble. Wisdom is better than rubies, he wrote, and all the things you may desire cannot compare to her. That wasn't poetry, it was revelation. Because wisdom teaches you not just how to get wealth, but how to sustain it, multiply it, and use it for eternal purpose. What hustle can build, pride can destroy. What talent can achieve, foolishness can waste. That's why Solomon placed so much emphasis on guarding wisdom, because it's the shield that protects everything you gain. In Proverbs, Solomon writes, "Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth." Why so passionate? Because he knew firsthand that kingdoms fall not just from invasion, but from neglect of wisdom. You can climb the ladder, but if you don't have wisdom, you'll step on the wrong rung and fall. You can earn the crown, but without wisdom, you'll lose the trust of your people. You can gain influence, but without understanding, you'll misuse your platform. Hustle can get you there, but only wisdom can keep you there. So how do you guard wisdom? You stay teachable, you seek counsel, you remain humble before God, you walk in the fear of the Lord. You don't just pursue information, you pursue revelation. You don't just react, you reflect. You don't just work hard, you work wise. Because at the end of the day, what good is it to reach success if you lose your soul? What good is it to build a tower if the foundation is cracked? Wisdom builds slow, but it builds strong. And when the storms come, and they will, it is wisdom, not hustle, that will keep your house standing. Solomon didn't govern just through decrees, he ruled through discernment. His success didn't come from military strength or political cunning, but from an inner law, a standard he kept in his heart. Before he ruled nations, he ruled himself. And that is the forgotten principle of true greatness. What happens on the inside creates what manifests on the outside. Your thoughts are not private, they are prophetic. The way you govern your mind determines how you walk through the world. Solomon said, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." That means if your thoughts are scattered, your life will be unstable. If your heart is divided, your direction will be confused. But if your mind is disciplined and your spirit aligned with truth, your path becomes unshakable. This is why chasing results without mastering mindset leads to burnout. Hustle tries to force results from the outside. But Solomon shows us, wisdom flows from the inside. Discipline doesn't begin with routines, it begins with reverence. It starts when you decide that your mind, your words, your habits, and your motives will all bow to a higher standard. True success is an overflow of inner mastery. You can fake motivation, but you cannot fake order. You can appear successful, but if you're undisciplined inside, collapse is only a matter of time. Solomon teaches us to write truth on the tablet of our heart, not just quote it with our mouth. Because when your internal law is rooted in God's wisdom, your external world begins to mirror divine order. We live in a time of endless noise, notifications, opinions, distractions, constant movement. But Solomon's wisdom was not birthed in chaos. It was cultivated in stillness. When he prayed, he didn't demand a quick blessing. He waited for divine instruction. He didn't chase noise, he pursued clarity. Most people are burned out not because they're doing too much, but because they're listening to too many voices. They hustle for validation, overcommit, seek applause, and end up exhausted. But Solomon shows us that real clarity requires solitude. Silence is not emptiness, it's sacred space. In silence, God speaks. In stillness, truth rises. Solomon said, "In quietness and confidence shall be your strength." Yet today, many fear silence because it forces them to confront the lack of order within. But you cannot hear from heaven when your mind is filled with the noise of the world. You don't need more motivation, you need more meditation. You don't need louder music, you need deeper moments of stillness. Because in silence, God gives strategy. In rest, he gives revelation. So pause, turn off the noise, shut down the race, and listen, not to the crowd, but to the voice of wisdom. That's where your next breakthrough is. Not in the hustle, but in the holy hush. Solomon didn't build a legacy by running faster. He built it by sitting longer at the feet of wisdom. Solomon's rise was not political, it was prophetic. He didn't chase the throne. The throne found him because he aligned himself with heaven's order. And that's a truth many have forgotten. When you align your life with divine principles, doors open that no man can shut. The favor on Solomon's life came not from striving, but surrendering. He didn't ask for gold, victory, or the destruction of enemies. He asked for wisdom, not to impress men, but to serve with excellence. And because of that heart posture, God gave him what he didn't even ask for: riches, honor, legacy. Why? Because alignment precedes assignment, and honor follows obedience. Many today hustle for results that only come by revelation. They fight for what God wants to give freely, if only their hearts would align. But you can't expect Solomon's results while living with Pharaoh's mindset. You can't manifest kingdom abundance if you're governed by culture's confusion. The divine principle is this: when your heart is aligned with God's will, your hands become instruments of His glory. Your work becomes worship. Your daily habits become altars. And your decisions echo eternity. Solomon teaches us that alignment isn't passive, it's intentional. It's choosing daily to govern your spirit, surrender your pride, and walk in the counsel of wisdom, not the noise of emotion. Solomon didn't build for applause, he built for purpose. When he constructed the temple, it wasn't for fame or fortune, it was for presence. He didn't measure success by how many praised him, but by how deeply God dwelled among the people. His life reminds us that what you build matters, but why you build it matters more. Today's world pressures people to build fast, hurry to succeed, chase likes, impress crowds, prove yourself. But Solomon teaches the opposite. Build slow, build sacred, build for something bigger than you. Purpose is not just doing what you're good at. It's doing what you were called to do, even when no one sees it. Pressure says, build now, succeed fast. Purpose says, wait for the blueprint. Solomon waited for instruction before laying a single stone. He built with precision, not panic. He built to last, not just to launch. That's the difference between worldly builders and kingdom architects. Ask yourself, am I building for performance or for purpose? Are you trying to prove your worth, or are you honoring your call? Because if you build under pressure, you'll collapse under weight. But if you build with purpose, your work becomes eternal. Solomon's legacy wasn't in his palace, it was in the temple. He built a dwelling place for God, and in doing so, his name echoed through generations. So don't rush the process. Build with intention, and let purpose, not pressure, guide every brick you lay. Solomon's wealth was legendary, but his true legacy wasn't gold. It was wisdom recorded for generations. It wasn't the chariots or palaces people still quote today. It's Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Songs. His words outlived his possessions. His insight became immortal. What does that teach us? Legacy is not about what you leave behind. It's about what you deposit in others and what you develop within yourself. Wealth fades, crowns rust, empires fall, but a life governed by wisdom echoes through eternity. When your life becomes a fountain of understanding, your influence multiplies even after you're gone. Many people chase wealth to be remembered. Solomon sought wisdom to be effective, and because of that, his impact became generational. His words became scriptures, his insights became instructions, and his obedience became a blueprint for every king who followed. Ask yourself, what am I building that will outlast me? Are you storing up treasure in heaven or simply collecting dust on earth? Because what you develop within, character, integrity, discernment, spiritual vision, no one can steal. That's the wealth that heaven recognizes. Build your legacy in the invisible realms. Sow seeds of wisdom in your children. Speak truth in your circle. Live so deeply aligned that even your silence teaches. Solomon's impact teaches us, if you master the inner life, your outer life becomes a message that echoes far beyond your years. Solomon sat on a throne, yes, but it was his inner throne, the one governing thoughts, emotions, and spiritual awareness that made him truly royal. Before he led a nation, he led himself. Before he issued commands, he submitted to wisdom. That's why he ruled with justice and clarity. He mastered the throne within. You can't reign in life until you've taken dominion over your own soul. The real war isn't on the outside, it's in the thoughts you entertain, the words you speak, the emotions you yield to. Solomon ruled a kingdom, but he knew the greatest kingdom was internal. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. That's not poetry, it's principle. Most people want external success without internal structure. They crave results without transformation, but Solomon proves true power starts in the secret place, where decisions are made, where thoughts are filtered, where motives are purified. You are royalty not because of what you wear, but because of how you think, how you speak, how you govern your life. You cannot walk in divine destiny if your inner world is disordered. You cannot manifest spiritual greatness if your thoughts are ruled by fear, doubt, or pride. Solomon didn't just wear a crown, he lived as one who carried the mind of God, and so must you. Cultivate that internal royalty. Think with purpose, speak with vision, walk with authority. Govern your inner world, and your outer life will bow to divine order. Solomon's greatest act was not building a temple of stone, but becoming a temple of obedience. When he aligned his heart with heaven, when he chose wisdom over wealth, purpose over popularity, the heavens opened, and everything he didn't ask for came rushing to him. The principle is this: when your life pleases God, provision finds you. Solomon didn't chase gold, gold chased him. He didn't build just to be seen, he built according to divine blueprints. And because he aligned vertically, everything he needed manifested horizontally. In a world obsessed with strategy and hustle, Solomon's story reminds us, divine alignment is more powerful than human ambition. When your heart beats in rhythm with God's, doors open that no man can shut. People will try to replicate your results, but they can't duplicate your alignment. This is not about religious performance, it's about internal posture. It's about daily choosing to seek wisdom, to listen before speaking, to yield when pride wants to control. That's where real abundance flows from. God told Solomon, "Because you asked for wisdom and not riches or long life, I will give you all of it." In that moment, we see the eternal truth. Heaven rewards those who desire what matters. When you prioritize the eternal, the temporary is added without striving. So stop chasing what God already promised. Align your soul, govern your heart, and watch as heaven funds your assignment, protects your peace, and multiplies your reach. As we conclude, remember this: Solomon's name still echoes not because he was rich, but because he was wise. The kings of the earth came to hear his words, not see his gold. The Queen of Sheba didn't marvel at his treasury. She was stunned by his understanding, his order, his divine insight. You were not called to hustle blindly. You were called to build wisely. You were not born to chase, to stress, to impress. You were chosen to reflect divine intelligence, to walk in spiritual power, to govern your life with clarity and conviction. The world today doesn't need more flashy success. It needs more Solomon spirits. People who prioritize wisdom over applause. People who ask God for understanding instead of influence. People who rule their minds before they try to lead others. What will your children inherit from you? Not just a house or money, but patterns, principles, and spiritual DNA. Will they inherit frustration and striving, or peace and purpose? You don't need more grind, you need more God. You don't need more noise, you need more inner order. The legacy you're building begins not with what you do in public, but who you are in private. Govern that well, and generations will be changed. So rise like Solomon, ask for wisdom, master your mind, align your soul, and let your life become a throne of light where divine purpose reigns and wealth flows not from hustle, but from heaven.